Oh, good morning.
Murdy, prospect, there he is.
Hold on, Murdy. And Martin started a trend here. That's how you start your interviews.
Just to let everybody know, it's 20 past 9 in the morning right now.
There's no rules now, though, is there?
I guess no, but are you not still working though?
Yeah, but one's okay.
How's lockdown going for you anyway, alright?
Beer, a coffee, and water. That'll get us through the next 45 minutes to an hour with you.
That's a good combination you've got there, mate. I've just got just a wee glass of water for myself, that'll do.
How are you, Murdy? You good?
I'm good, mate. I'm good, how are you?
Yeah, good, man. Just like everyone else, trying to do the best out of the lockdown situation. But hey, it's all good.
You still got a lot of work to do?
You know what? Like, actually, you're quite similar to me, where when you're like, we like our own company. We sound like,
Yeah.
but I don't actually mind it.
Are you an only child?
No, I've got a sister.
Oh,
Uh, Yeah, no, you know what it is? It's just with work, I'm used to being on my own anyway.
yeah.
I quite like it. It means that I don't need to like travel as much, and I can just sit and do stuff online. It's an amazing time to like. You've just found this new situation, the
Yeah.
interviews, the TikTok star in this time, and
You start that as well.
but yeah, you've got so much time to reevaluate things.
I know. I think it's a good time to kind of get creative and stuff. Like, there's no point in just sitting about and wasting it. Like, you need to try and make the most of the time that you've got because
Yeah,
you'll probably never have this kind of time again.
no, literally never. I think, especially the age we are, man. I think you'll never have this time again until
No.
you're too old to do shit. So I think this is a good time to. Can I swear on this?
Say whatever you want, mate.
Cool.
I just need to make sure I hit the not for kids on the on the settings.
Content.
Aye, so just wanted to get you on for a wee chat and
Yeah, man.
just let you tell the world about your story. I've had a few people that have been saying to me, "You need to do one with Prospect." So
It's funny because I was thinking that as I was like, yo, what am I going to talk about today? And I was like, me and Marty always talk about music or in the clubs. So it's actually probably quite an interesting conversation.
yeah, there's probably a lot of stuff that I didn't even know, like
Yeah,
about you and what you've done and stuff.
yeah,
So going right back to the start, you were born in Switzerland, which I bet a lot of people didn't realise that. And you never moved to Scotland until you were 12.
yeah. 12, 13. Basically, first year of high school, I was that kid that, you know what's funny is I actually didn't speak proper English. Like,
Yeah, I'm sure I've heard Nick make a few jokes about that before.
yeah, man, I used to get, like, Nick used to forever rip me. I had that Arnold Schwarzenegger. So like still was like see what everyone's like, oh see how now brown cow. They're like, ah, so I still get that all the time.
It
But yeah, man.
almost sounds like you've got a bit of like a Bogdos kind of twang.
Is that what it is? It's just
Yeah, like people feel like Stow that. They speak a bit like that.
Sterling. Ooh. Yeah, no, so that's basically, yeah, moved over from Switzerland, and then I guess that's probably why I was so into music, is that's how I learned to speak English properly,
Oh,
as
really?
good as I can now.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's basically where I learned to. Yeah, that's how I think that's why I got so involved in music, because that was like loner coming over here. What do you do when you are from a completely different culture? Because the UK, it's so different. Scotland, especially. Like you need to remember, coming from like somewhere like Switzerland, somewhere like Scotland is so different. But it was cool. It was a nice learning curve, and yeah, it was exciting. So yeah.
Was it always R&B, hip hop music that you were into at that age, or?
You know what, man? I like everything. I think that's just what I grew into, because I like the culture, everything hip hop, from the music to the attitude to everything around it. But yo, I listen like just like you, man. I know you like Jerry Cinnamon. Like, man, I'll listen to anything from Lauryn Hill to the Cortines to Jerry Cinnamon. Like everyone, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah, if it's
I
good
don't mind.
music, you like it kind of
I
thing.
like. I mean, I think we have different personas where people think like, oh yeah, the guy that's in the club, that's like, people must think with you like, oh, that's a
Yeah, I
different
think
human
people
being.
think whatever we play is that's what we love and what we listen to. But like, I mean, I play a lot of house music in some of my sets now, but I never listen to house music ever.
Yeah, like yeah, exactly. That's the thing. You know, it's funny. Is even like house music. Like there's so much house music that I'm working on just now for my new situation, that like I like it, but I'm not like crazy passionate about it. but I
Yeah,
still like it. Yeah. So
you
I
only
guess
put like a house playlist on in the car or like when you're chilling at home and stuff.
I would, like, I don't know, I'd play some weird things. I play some weird things. I've got this playlist. Me and DJ play have this playlist called Playlist for Reals, and it's literally got everything from like In Vogue to like Old Seal to like the strangest songs. If you listen to that, like it's the most actually is the most swaggy playlist, but everyone else in the club will be like, loser.
I've got a few like that as well,
Yeah.
don't I? So when did you kind of feel like DJing was what you wanted to do? Obviously you had a love for music, but how did
So
it go in that
you know what?
direction?
It was mad. So when I grew up in Switzerland, so my last year of school, my primary teacher was crazy into music, and he put me on to buying turntables. And
Right.
so I bought my first set of turntables, reloop turntables in Switzerland, and that was like one of the only things that I brought over when I moved over. So, and it was the only thing that I ever had like on the floor of my room when I first moved over. It was just decks. Obviously, at that point, it was vinyl,
Yeah.
so shit was expensive to do. So like it took me forever to do like to be able to build up a collection to play music. It's not like now where you can just play whatever songs. You had to just
Yeah.
buy
You
the song.
actually plan your sets and what music you were going to take to gigs and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. It's
I meant to ask Martin this, and I really wanted to find out the answer. When I started DJing, it was CDJs,
Mhm.
so I never had to go through the process of the change. But for you, obviously, you just said that you learnt on vinyl. So what was it like when it became CDJs? Like, was it quite a easy transition for you, or?
You know what it was? Is the cost saving was huge. Like that's LimeWire and Napster days. So when we used
Yeah,
to download the file, burn the CD, so it was so much cheaper than what I had to do when I started DJing. Even on like the under 18 circuit, which we'll probably go into in a second, is like you had to buy the vinyl. So expensive to do. And then there was the MIDI disc situation in between where like it was like this could be, and it was just strange because you'd have like a MIDI disc player. And then the CDJ started those grey Pioneer ones, those really old ones. And it was about you had to burn the songs on, but at that point it was very hard to let go of your vinyl collection because you spent so much money on it.
yeah,
And you had those like those folders that now like probably only like your grandparents or your parents have these folders with CDs in it. You just look like you were selling cracked PS4 games, PS1 games at that point. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, it was a strange transition, but I think I don't know if it's easier now or hard or was it easier then. I don't know, but it's funny because you learned on a thingy like Aleem Ellington. He learned on a controller to start.
hmm.
There's so many different ways. Like you can relate across the whole thing because we've used all of them.
Yeah.
But yeah, like it's I wonder which one is easiest. It's actually a
Was
good
it,
question.
there's quite a lot of DJs that prefer to still play off vinyl.
Yeah, I think that's like personally, like I find that like it doesn't make a difference to me.
Yeah,
People are very like, oh no, it's like the true like like just because it's on wax and there's a needle like doesn't make it less DJing. Just be more gives me more time to be creative with. It's like when the Serato thing, you have the kind of a certain generation that's just like that's not real DJing.
yeah. I remember a few people said that to me when I moved to a laptop. Like, oh, the laptop just does it for you. And I'm like, you've clearly never used it, or you would realise that doesn't happen.
That's just like an old mentality. It just means you can be more creative. And you
Yeah,
can do that with like Red Bull 3 style or those things. Like you can just go crazy with it. Do you know what I mean?
yeah. So much easier to just get between your records and your cue points and stuff like that. So what happened after that then? So you've got the interest in music. How does it actually
How do you turn into a DJ?
actually becoming a DJ
Paid
and doing
DJ, a
gigs?
paid DJ. Well, when I say how do you become a paid DJ, I was a very, very, very low paid DJ at start. But so the transition happened in school. I used to do my assembly halls like at lunchtime when it was pissing outside rain, and they used to do like 50p donations. So I used to make a bit of money off that. And then it still exists now, a record shop called Underground Solution. That's where all my money would be spent. But as I was there and I did like a work experience there, I used to hoover the shop on a Monday and a Thursday and get a vinyl for each shift that I did. I was the cheapest labor possible. And then this was when I was like 14, 15, 16. And then I became friends with Nick G, the Legends. little brother, Kris, I met. Nick G was like the coolest guy. He had like the freshest Sean John velour tracksuit, like Air Force Ones, those crazy coloured Air Force Ones. Probably was wearing FUBU. He'll kill me for saying this, but he was. I met him, and then we just became like we're forever lifelong friends off the back of that. And then just got involved in all this stuff, man. From J Glass, that now is like killing it on the entertainment nightlife industry thing across venues. And it all kind of, it's mad because now now that we're all older, like it's all the same. We're all in the same network still. We're still doing the same the same dumb shit we were doing 17, well, yeah, fucking hell, that's ages ago, like 15 years ago.
Yeah.
But we're just older and we're now like loving it still. Do you know what I mean? We're still the same people from day one.
So you started playing at Too Hot.
So actually, my first one was Shakedown, which is
Shakedown. I've never heard of that before. Is that a similar kind of night?
It was the OG, yeah, Shakedown. That was the under 18 circuit. And actually, I used to do the chiller. So it was J Glass and Nick G in the top floor, and I used to do the room called the chiller. And I used to get a $5 for my shift, and that was for a taxi home. A $5, man. Like we were the club like rinsed us because we were paid so badly, and they had rammed clubs. Like they were having people like Romeo Dunn. Remember all those at that point? They were popping, and they were getting all these guests in, and me and Nick and Jay, Nick and Jay were on a low wage as well, but not like anything close to me. But they were like the superstars of that situation.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, used to get a $5 instead of going home, like getting this taxi home with all these records that I bought with bags. I used to walk, like it was about an hour 15 from Carlton Hill to, I lived in Newington at that point. I used to walk like an hour and 15 minutes to go home to save myself that $5 to be able to then spend it on records on the Saturday. So that was a Friday in venue. And then Too Hot's a legendary, like made so many friends from that situation. And I think so many people are friends from that under 18s. It was like the first time in under 18s was like crazy huge.
What was that about?
What is now that steak place. It was Ego.
Yeah.
Jay was behind it as well. Shout out Jay again. But yeah, he was part of at that point he was a little bit older, so was kind of had his business head on already and started doing this under 18s with a bunch of people, Richie Roughtone, and Adam there, and the guy called Gabe. And we had like the craziest parties, like the first G-Unit party, which was like a roadblock, these crazy foam parties. We had like guests from America, these huge DJs like Who Kid, Green Lantern. Even One Extra did like a takeover one week. We had like sponsorships from Vans, and remember Mawam Sweets? They sponsored us, and we were getting like care packages from Mawam and stuff. It was the strangest thing. But yeah, that was the start of it all, man. The under 18 circuit, which we don't have anymore because I think people are so protective over. Yeah. I generally think that's why people my age, some people have gone the other way, but that's why so many people stayed out of trouble, because between 6 and 10 on a Friday and Saturday night, there wasn't under 18s that everyone went to, and that's what kept people out of trouble. And
I remember everybody at school talking about it, like, because it was that, and then what was the other one? The Honeycomb, yeah, and then there was Ignition, which is I remember that, which was like where like made so many friends from that. Which is crazy, man. It just like it was a totally different world, and we thought we were the coolest ever at that point. I mean, we were like, that was the coolest thing. That under 18s network was the one. But obviously, I don't know if there's any. It'd be a bit weird if I knew now if there was under 18s going on. But I'm sure I've heard the like Fourth One doing stuff before. I'm sure I've seen that like on social media and stuff, but definitely no to the extent that it was back then. Like it was crazy, like 1,000 people on a Saturday and stuff. Again, we just got totally conned by the venue because we're just getting paid peanuts compared to what they were making. But and what age were you guys at that point then? Were you like the same age as everybody that was there? If I was, yeah. Nick and Jay were like a year or two above me, so they were like about. That's why they were more the business side, as they kind of, and I was a little kid in school. But it was cool because obviously me coming over being that little loner Swiss guy with a weird accent,
then being able to DJ and then actually have like something like I'm not just a loser. So it was quite a cool situation. So yeah, I love that stuff.
So then you finish school, and are you just purely thinking like you want to DJ? Like,
Yeah, so I had all these jobs, like random shop jobs, hotel jobs, and then it was actually Nick that pushed me to like, yo, you should do this full time. Like, he was like my mentor throughout the whole thing. He still is like the guy that kind of from the start was my guy. So he was like, yo, he actually gave me, because obviously there's a point where you have to make enough money to be able to leave your job, and he gave me that Rev Bar, which was like my tipping point. Revolution Bar, and that was a starting point. And then there was my involvement with when I started as a resident at Tipsy. There was with Kris, Nick, and Jay at that point. And then it just all grew from there, man. It just that's where it all kind of started, transitioning from the under 18s to obviously at that point it was cool because everyone that was 16 with me in the under 18s, it was turning 18 when I was turning 18. Clubs.
So you'd already started to build up a bit of a following for
so
as young as that.
Yeah, exactly. So.
And so how many years had Tipsy been running when you joined in?
Tipsy been running since 2002. So what year was that? I don't even know. I know we're turning 18 this year. But so I was involved as a resident when Kris and Nick were running it, and then Jay went off to manage a venue. And then it just transitioned over the years that I became involved in, because I was involved in all the events.
Yeah.
And that whole like trying to go an extra mile thing. And then ended up being partners. And then that's where we met as well.
Yeah, no. What was it like back then for Tipsy, like trying to build and grow like an R&B hip hop night on a Sunday night? And it was at Massa to start with, wasn't it?
Yeah, it just clicked, man. I think some things just click. It's like when you were talking to George, some things just click. Like certain nights just click and they connect. And then you build this like family. I mean, you know it now, that DJ booth is like the craziest shit could happen outside that DJ booth. We've got this like little energy amongst us from the day ones, from you, Mo, to Aleem, to Odie, to Amir, to literally every single person that is involved in the whole thing. And punters, like we're like in our own little world. Like that DJ booth in Massa was the same. I had like a little DJ booth that was like circular, and we were just all hanging there. And I think it's just that it's like a chemistry that you can't replace. And it just clicked. But that's when we started doing, that's when hip hop started becoming huge. And then that's when we made all the connections, like met all the network we've got now, from DJ Play to Centex that's head of Sony to, like all those connections were done then. We had the craziest acts like Joe Budden, like Kyle Cruz when he was first starting out, Kinchy Strider, Montel Jordan, like the craziest. We were the first ones to do all that up here. And it was just timing, man. I think it was just like those things that we'll all talk about forever and be like, yo, remember that shit?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when did Tipsy then move to Lulu? Was that at the same time as George spoke about when Massa kind of closed, or?
Massa was on its ropey days, because obviously that area was getting like loads of like development offers for the places. And it was, remember, Kofi? Shout out Kofi, because Kofi connected us with the manager of Lulu.
All right.
Really. And there was a night called, I can't remember, there was a night on a Sunday in Lulu already, and they replaced that with Tipsy. Yeah. And it was basically the first time hip hop. There was Mother Funk, which was more like a funk night on George Street, but it was the first time like hip hop hit George Street.
Right.
And because it was unheard of, like you would never play hip hop on George Street. It was very house. It was very like a certain there was a certain like kind of stigma, and then hip hop, that was the first time, and that's why it just went boom, because people were like, yo, this energy is crazy. Because at that point clubs were still like, it was very poserish, like no disrespect to the whole thing, but it was at that point very, very poserish, and it was just like an energy where just people were like, yo, like on a Sunday I finished work at 1 o'clock, I'm gonna go party. Like that was why it clicked so well.
Yeah, it was a completely different vibe. Like I mentioned to George, when I first went to Shanghai, first ever time, like I had a shirt and tie and waistcoat and shoes on, and you were literally, I'm standing in the queue, I think there was only 2 of us, and you're thinking, I don't know if I'm going to get in here. Like,
there's no chance us looking people would have got in. no
Oh,
chance. I'm not saying that it's thingy. Like, just at that point was just like, nah. But it changed it, man. And I think this, people realized, like, in that industry of like, oh, this is like something you can't replace. And till now, we're like the longest running situation in that club.
yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy, man.
And you went on. Did you have a few Saturday nights in Edinburgh and Glasgow at that point as well, or eventually?
See, the other guy, Kris and Nick. Well, you know Kris. We've just seen other guy Kris, isn't because not you, Kris, but different Kris and Nick. We were doing loads of stuff like after parties in Glasgow, loads of ventures in Glasgow. At that point, I wasn't as heavily involved, so I was more in like Edinburgh. That was my thing. But like after parties and things like that, I was always involved. So we always just kind of dabbled in that. But yeah, just as a team, we just kind of grew everything, grew networks. Like Nick had his thing, Kris had his thing, I had my thing in terms of like what we brought to the pot. And then that's why I just gelled.
Yeah. And done some sick after parties as well.
Crazy, man.
Jay-Z, Drake, to name a couple. Did you get to meet any of these guys?
Yeah, most. I'm Jay-Z. Not. I mean, Jay-Z is my like you can see from the rock hat is my idol, man. Like, but yeah, most of these, man, like the Drake ones, Tyga, some of the craziest like mobile after parties, ones that people still talk about. Like now in the job that I'm in, I have conversations of like some parties that like people remember that it's just insane. There was actually a picture that I found on my laptop, which was the first time that Mr. Jam, Charlie Sloth, CJ Beats. CJ Beats is now a good friend of us all, as well. Like his radio deal, and Charlie first got like a radio One Extra situation. Mr. Jam and it was a moment there in the studio that we had in Glasgow, which was just like, yo, I looked at that picture yesterday. I was like, fucking hell, we go way back. And there's so much history. Like, there's just something about this whole journey that's just been like, yeah, like something I don't think you can replace or mimic.
And then you ended up being a mix resident for One Extra as well.
Yeah, so I think that was the key thing but it was one of the things that I always did is try network as much from the scenario. So from like best DJs coming up, like I mentioned, Semtex ended up being on like the Def Jam street team handling Scotland at like 16, doing like PR campaigns for like Mr. Hudson, Amy Winehouse and stuff like that. And then just over the years, building up that connection with different DJs from playing with DJ City, all the DJs across the UK, just started like kind of realizing that this is a whole big network, and then got in with One Extra, did a bunch of stuff there, kind of takeovers.
That was obviously massive, like for
yeah,
you as well.
It's crazy, man. That was like it's funny, in my school yearbook, I have like two things. And I looked at this when I just moved house. And one of them was like One Extra thing, and one of them was my current situation. It was like my two dream things of what I did.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's only when I looked at it the other day, I was like, I don't know why that's in my yearbook, but like, you know, when they ask you the questions in your yearbook, that's the thing. And I was like, oh shit, like, yeah,
it's crazy, thinking back to a young boy like writing that down, only dreaming it, and now it's reality.
Crazy, man. So, but yeah, that was like the start of like things kind of going bigger. Yeah.
And then you ended up being resident for a few other nights, like say Mansion,
Legendary Man,
Buddha. Yeah. But see, at Mansion, did you used to play a kind of different set for what you would maybe play at Tipsy?
It was student school. Mansion, I think, was the first student night that had hip hop in it.
Right.
Yeah, because we did the lower room. So this was at Eagle as well. There was two rooms. Top floor was huge and downstairs was small. We did the small room first, and it literally took a couple of months before it like flipped and we were the main room. It was more student-y. That was when like hip hop moved from just being able to be like bashment and hip hop and R&B. That's very like fan base music to like a student-y like party stuff. That's when like the party R&B came out and all those type of things. So basically at that point, that's when Mansion was the first one to bring student like hip hop into student nights, and then it grew from there. Was involved with Buddha with the guys for years, where Your Residency Milk started. All those things, like that's all grown from that. So so all the guys that were behind that were like tastemakers in that thing, like Darren Hamish, Wilson, Ramsey, all those guys. Like, yeah, it's crazy how how that's all like grown.
And along the way, you've warmed up for some unbelievable acts. I mean, just looking through the list to name a few: Skepta, Drake, Wu-Tang, Snoop Dogg, Eminem, Emily Sandé. Like,
We had some good times, man.
Do you know Emily Sandé from being younger?
Yeah, so Emily used to do like we used to work on a project called Urban Scott back in the day, which she used to actually do. There's a funny clip on YouTube of Emily did the backing vocals for an artist that I used to work with called Kobe Onyami, and she used to do backing vocals at Glastonbury, and that was like just before she went huge. She just had the Virgin deal, and yes, before she went massive. She's still a good friend, so yeah, she's the homie. But yes, like all those that's got crazy history because she's obviously from Aberdeen. But yeah, that was one. It's crazy now because when I've done shows that, for instance, she's doing, it's like she's huge now. Like thousands of people come see her.
And what was it like playing at those kind of gigs? Like, obviously, you're used to playing in front of hundreds of people in nightclubs and some completely different thing altogether.
Totally, there's so much pressure on you.
Yeah.
Like, you know why artists crack now, because they're like, there's so much pressure on you, especially when you've got like Wu-Tang and they're an hour and 50 minutes late, and you've got to keep going. Because you prep a set and you've got to keep an energy, and then you've got to keep in mind like, oh, this person's got beef with that person, need to make sure you don't play that song. And then like the certain artists, it's like hard to like, what do you play to an Eminem crowd? Because all they want to hear is Eminem.
Yeah.
So like anything else, or if you play something a little bit too commercial like Kendrick Lamar, so you got to keep everything like perfect. But yeah, the gigs, best one probably like was like the Glastonbury one was huge.
You've done what, Glastonbury, Wireless, Tea in the Park?
Yeah, all those. Wireless was really good. Tea in the Park's always just crazy energy. There's always a crazy Murdy in the that was your thing.
I'm sure I was like texting you saying, can I warm up for you, mate? Like, I won't be drunk, I promise.
And then what's it called? The Drake one. The Drake one was a big one because that was like Drake in the Weekend. And I was on the billing. I was beside Weekend, the same size font. Right. And that wasn't even me making the artwork. At that point, they were like the Weekend prospect. And now I look at that, I'm like, I was on the same font size. And then, yeah, Eminem was crazy. That was a big one. Kendrick Lamar. Because, there's other ones that were there, like NERD. You just reminded me the Skepta one, which was his like tour that he sold out in like a minute. So yeah, I made a lot of friends in that live network that like put me on situations that like you don't normally get on, and I'm so grateful for those ones because those are crazy.
Have you always managed to hang out with all these artists, or is there
I mean, some of them are cool. Unless you've got titties and ass, they're not interested.
Yeah.
So you get ones like, I've got a good story when Flow Rider. So I did Flow Rider when he was popping, and I had my like dressing room with all the stuff in there, and then I leave to go on stage. I come back in, and he's taken over. Like what he's done is he's wanted space in his own one, and I walk into this dressing room, and I'm not lying to you, there was about 45, 50 chicks with barely anything on. This is probably, you know me, man, how awkward I must have felt. Like, let me just grab a bag. So yeah, I don't know what your question was, but I don't know why I started talking about that.
I was just saying, like, do you often get to meet them and hang out?
So yeah, some of them are mad cool. You tend to. This is where I made a lot of friends. Like Bieber's DJ and stuff is like when they're on tour, the staff, like the guys are on them, the stars, they get all the glitz and glam treatment. But the DJs and stuff, they're just like, okay, cool, sound check, backpack, walk around the city. They don't want to just sit in a hotel like a loner. So
yeah,
that's why you make a lot of friends that way. So like, you know, from Bieber's DJ to Gaga's DJ, that's how like we built friendships from there. Because they go like let's kick it, let's go get some food, that type of thing.
Another couple of people I mentioned that I done a wee browsing your Instagram, seeing if I could refresh my memory of anything that's happened. Obviously, you met like Post Malone, Calvin Harris, like some huge people, but you need to tell us the Justin Bieber story, the one that made the newspapers. Tell us the whole thing.
The Bieber story was mad. I was in, I don't even remember where I was, but I got a phone call from this LA number. The guy, Tay James, who's Bieber's DJ, he's like, yo, he's like, what are you doing tomorrow? I was like, just like, because he was coming that weekend. He's like, we're coming in early. This is when Bieber was like huge and did all those.
Just after they had released like Sorry and stuff,
Yeah, like crazy. We were doing after parties with him. He's like, yo, it's Halloween. It's our first day off in a year and a half. I was like, whoa. And they were like, Halloween, we're going to do a party. There's this crib in a place. I'll send you the postcode. Arrange equipment. But it was very like, because these guys just have everything done for them. Yo, bring a sound system. This is the postcode. Don't tell anyone. Only bring one person. Like, obviously, these guys are super. Like, only bring your assistant or your manager. I'll just say, all right, go bring my chick or mate. Do you know what I mean? It's like, it's not that thingy. And then just mad, like, text messages, location. And then the location was like a way. He's like, someone will meet you there. And I was like, yo, like, what size sound system? He's like, your budget's, it was like a couple of thousand. I was like, okay, I'll get this sound system. So I load it in my car, go to this address, and bro, this mansion, I didn't even know this shit existed in Scotland, but like supposedly that's where like loads of superstars like rent this house out in Kinross, like hidden away like nothing else. And pull up in this thingy, there's like this house is kid like Beverly Hills style, man. It was like insane. Security everywhere. Pull up, all right, cool, like what's your name, DJing? Okay, cool, like crazy attitude, LA, like security. Guy goes under my car, checks everything from like my exhaust to like under the bonnet to like everything, checks the sound system. Everybody except me, like give me your phones. So lock your phones away. Sign like non-disclosures. Go in, set up this huge ballroom, and there's a bedroom to the side. I'm like setting up a telephone, like, yo, just let you know, like we're done. We're coming along now. They just like landed, or I can't remember if they did a show or something. Like, cool. So I'm setting up, ready to go. His security, like crazy security everywhere. And then Bieber just comes in on his own. Like, he's obviously just either landed or I can't remember what exactly it was. And he's just like, yo, what's up, man? Like, totally cool. And just like me and him standing there like, yo, let me get you a drink. I was like, okay, cool. And like my mate Hamish was there at that point. He's just like, what the fuck is going on here? And then he basically, like his DJ's like, yo, he phoned some people to come. And then started sending this address out, and then just cars and cars of people. He had cars of people coming, random like bands from America, bands from the UK just turning up to this Halloween party. And then, yeah, man, it was basically all night partying. He was like performing, jumped on the piano. Then at like 3-4 in the morning, it was like, yo, like there's food downstairs. Like started making like friends with all his team, like his dancers and stuff, who I still speak to every time I go to LA. He's like, oh, there's food downstairs. Go downstairs and there's like a Michelin star meal of like rack of lamb, literally everything from like lamb to fucking hummus to like Sunday roast to like Christmas dinner. The strangest setup at like 4 or 5 in the morning. I've got a mix playing upstairs and I'm eating like the poshest food. Obviously at that point, like I had my missus with me and a lot of my friends, and they were just like, this is the strangest thing. And then it leaked to the papers the next day. It was like the strangest, because it was like one of those ones, don't have your phone up, blah, blah, blah. And then like it was just one of those like surreal moments that was like crazy. But yeah, that was a wild one. People still always ask me about that.
And what kind of music were you like? Were they all requesting songs, or were you just left to just
DJing? Like it was just like a club, and then he'd jump on, do a couple of songs, and then yeah, it was just kept going for literally like 8-9 hours of partying. Because Halloween's huge to those like American Canadian guys, you know what I mean? So it was it was just funny, man. It was hilarious, but really good.
I remember you texting us on the group chat, and you were just like, yo, I've just got like this mad text message, I'll tell you tomorrow. And we were all like, what's he up to? Like,
weirdest thing, man. Just the strangest thing, but it was the craziest party. But yeah, that's led to loads of things, because that type of stuff like puts you in a situation where you can DJ or like do certain events that like these non-disclosure things, so you don't spill the beans. So like when we've done stuff like that, it's like you keep certain things quiet when you go to certain parties, and like that's led to like bunch of stuff, like, you know, parties with EXO, with Ed Sheeran and stuff like that. Like just kind of, it just gives you that kind of like, you're not going to go
trustworthy.
Yeah, I didn't leak anything to the papers. One of his dancers did.
Oh really?
Because the next day I had like all the team phoning me. What do you do? I was like, yo, it's nothing to do with me. That picture's not for me. I'm actually in the picture in the background, so I didn't take the picture.
Yeah. Which
is great, because my logo, the way they took the photo, my logo was on it, and it was everywhere. I was like, yes, free PR.
Right, so going back to Tipsy, obviously things kind of changed. Like Kris decided to go off on a new adventure and stuff. and you took on the brand solely by yourself. And you started to kind of change things up, like you would bring up regular guests or putting on a lot of different acts, not even like big acts, but like supporting local people or UK people that weren't quite there yet. Like if you look back now, people like Jay Huss, Notes,
Unknown T, Young T and Bugsy.
Young T and Bugsy, that's what I was going to say.
Live on their Billboard in the US, they're charting in the US.
Yeah, that just went mad.
Yeah,
TikTok challenge.
Yeah, like Gigs. I mean, perfect example is Gigs came back literally like 10-year anniversary when we were last in Lulu.
Yeah,
he came back and he's like, "Yo, I remember this place." And like now we work with like some of his team, and it's like it's crazy that like 10 years later, an artist is like superstar. But we've had some insane ones coming through there. Everyone from like Ed Sheeran to Emily Sandé to all the rappers that are like household names now.
Yeah.
At the point where they were a hell lot cheaper. Ty Dolla $ign, when you just had the candy, that was one of the best bookings. When you had that, about getting them early when they're cheap. Because
Ty Dolla $ign was just like comes in smoking a joint and that, just standing and it's like, mate, I don't think you can do that in here, but
yeah, I secured him before I was in LA for a couple of months. I secured him there at a price before the Kanye album dropped. And then, like, even to the point the agent was just like, it's not happening. I was like, like, we made this agreement in LA, like, personal. And he's just like, so angry that this was happening for that money. Because at the same time, he was getting like tens and tens of thousands of pounds across the country. And we were paying him like a measly, like, a couple of grand. Like, it was crazy.
Once he was featured on that album, just rocketed there.
Yeah. Insane.
So what was your thoughts behind that then when you did take over Tipsy? Like, you wanted to change it up a bit?
I think for me, it was like, it was having it aligned with like what I am as like a DJ and what I want to do. So it's like using that as a tool to build relationships as well and give people opportunities to see like, this stuff's popping up here. Like, you ask anyone, literally you walk in from One Extra to Capital Extra to some of their biggest record labels, someone on that floor will tell you about Tipsy if you don't know what's called.
Yeah.
Like, it's that connection where everyone's like, need to be there, need to go there, need to be there. We've got people like, I remember we used to have people drive up for a weekend just to come to Tipsy on Sunday from London. Like, big names, like big rapper names that used to turn up just because it was like an energy thing. People love it.
But they get looked after and I think they have a good night as well.
Yeah, it's just a little bit of effort, man. No attitude. We're all cool, do you know what I mean? So you're quite lucky in that situation. People come in and they just like jump on the mic and yes, it's good fun, man. It's like that's what we're all about. So that was the main thing for me, is to kind of build that relationship for everyone in the team as well. Like, you've made so many friends. It's hard when you even think about like Martin. So like a girl that used to work on Tipsy, actually, one of the OGs, a girl called Leah, met Martin. I think that's how April met Martin, is through her. So it's all like connected through Tipsy. Yeah. Really, I mean, and April's from up here. Like, we all kind of knew each other. Like, it's crazy, like how everything just connects.
Yeah. And then you make the decision to have your own venue.
Yeah.
And you open 4042, obviously with Shandy as well. How did that come about?
So that was always a dream of mine to kind of like, I don't know, I had like a little tick list of things that I wanted to do. And I just felt that was one of the things that I wanted to get involved in. So like, I had a few other businesses, random ones, like over the years that kind of, I think that's the most important thing as a DJ, is like invest your money into other things or have other things going on as well. Because otherwise, like, look at it right now, like we're not DJs. Well, but like, we're not getting paid. So it's like
DJs again.
Yeah, you need to like have other plans. So that's kind of always what I did. The minute I made a bit of dough, is like opened up a chain of vape shops and then sold that, and then the bar was something that I wanted to do. 4042 with Shandy, one of my close friends. So we set that up as like a new thing, and it was a new fresh wave. It's obviously still going. It was just like a little tick list. I've got like a tick list that seems to be forever growing, but that was just one of the things I wanted to do. So yeah.
It was completely different to anything else. It's in Edinburgh, obviously. You've got like ping pong tables and like ordering pizzas in and stuff. Like, it was a cool kind of, like, you could go there and spend the whole night there, or you could just go have a few drinks and kind of get yourself.
Yeah, that was the vibe always, because like, I think it's just about having different things. Like, if you go to different cities, there's so much more. I don't want to go pop a bottle 7 days a week, or it's not really my vibe anyway. But like, I'd probably go have a couple of drinks, pizza in a place, play some ping pong, listen to some decent music. You do that in other cities, so it was just like to introduce that, and yeah, it does well like that. So yeah.
And you got a fair bit of publicity when a certain Lewis Capaldi
But,
came.
so that was a mad one. I got a phone call. That's another one. I was like, phone call. Yo, can you throw a party for Lewis Capaldi?
Was he playing in Edinburgh that night? And then it was like a private after party kind of thing, yeah.
Yeah, basically he hadn't had a chance to celebrate his album success. So, and his family obviously from around here. So, one of his team hit me up and was like, "Yo, can you throw a party for him?" I was like, "No problem." So again, just kind of went that little bit of, tried to do a little bit of extra and package it a bit nicely for him. Did things like a Buckfast parade, which then that hit the papers, and it was like good. So every so often, it's just like put a little bit of sauce on something and home. So yeah, that was huge for the venue. I think it still eats off that scenario because people talk about that.
Yeah. And the next thing, you start your own Gotham music label.
Yeah, so that transition basically, as I was like involved in the venue, I just wanted to, like, business takes up so much time. So I knew that, like, with him, that was one of my things that I wanted to get more into. Like, basically the two things I had in that school book yearbook thing was the one extra thing and the label A&R situation. I was like, I need to build in that stuff. It's quite hard to do it from up here, but obviously you've done so much, and it was like I'd reached what I thought. Like, as a DJ, there's only so much you can do. You kind of venture into the things, like whether it's production or like radio or into like the music industry thing, and that was like another step in. There was an artist, a local artist called Sean Focus, who just, I just genuinely liked his energy. Like, he just like put his all into it. So I was like, yo, like, let's how would you feel about me managing? Well, I first thought of the idea of doing a management thing. Eventually, what to do, management, label, publishing type of thing, and then that was the start of it, man. And that's, as I kind of packaged that's when I started getting the phone calls for the new situation, and then that's kind of, it was just leading into probably showing a lot of people that I'm friends with in the industry that, yo, like, this is the direction I want to go. And that's kind of how things move.
So tell us about your new role then. You're obviously working in London 4 or 5 days a week, with very close to Charlie Clough.
Well, right now I'm just in the crib, but up until the lockdown, I was down there during the week. So basically, I got a phone call last year, and was like, yo, there's XYZ, which is soon about to be announced, happening. I have a label situation and the label publishing situation that I think you would be the guy in for the team. Would you be up for doing it? And it was like one of those ones that was always like my aim, and I was like, what have I got to lose? Should I just go for it and do it? And then I just took that opportunity. So it's a situation with a radio DJ called Charlie Sloth, who moved from BBC to Apple, which was a huge global move, going from like a radio station relevant in the UK to something that is across the globe. Along with like a couple more announcements that are coming over the next few months, with like partners, that is going to kind of show like how big this whole situation is. So that's, I started that December, January this year. It's crazy exciting because it's always wanted to do. So artists, like, finding talent, and both for a record label situation. So we've got a situation with Warner Brothers, so we're partners with them, and a publishing company called Downtown, who look after some of the most incredible catalogue in music, not just hip hop. So we look at, after that, there's a segment on Apple Music called Fire in the Booth, so we work on that team as well. And it's just learning that whole like 360 degrees of the music industry, while still being able to be independent, but have some of the biggest brands working with you. So it's like, it's crazy having certain phone calls and you're like, like, no worries, you want to speak to that brand? Like, here's a number, there you go, phone them. Like, oh, no worries, whatever you need, what do you need? It's like, whoa, this is crazy. So it's the start of the journey, which started in January, then got halted by the corona. But it's the perfect time to like find new talent. We've got some insane signings that just got over the line, which are going to kind of come out in the next few months. One that I genuinely think is going to be a global superstar. And yeah, there's just loads of things going on.
You must be rubbing shoulders with some big names. Did you not tell me that like your office was like directly opposite? Who was
Yes.
it?
So we've got a studio in London, and you've got everyone from like Mark Ronson to Sway to Apple there, to like some of the biggest like rock stars studios in the same floor. Like it's the strangest setup. You've got to keep your cool, like especially even around like obviously there's a different world for me to someone like Charlie, like being partners and stuff like it's like there's certain acts that he's just like friends with. I'm like, yo, like this is crazy. Like this person's in the studio. Like we had a situation where like I was in the studio recording something at Apple, and then Ebro, who's like an OG DJ from New York, who Hot 97 Apple Music. Like I'm walking in the studio, and then like, oh, Anthony Joshua's there with Ebro, like just having an interview, and I was just like, oh, yo, what's up? Like trying to act all cool. But yeah, it's bizarre. It's a weird world, but it's like it's fun. It's quite private, which is like just like you, man. The same as me. Like quite like that stuff where you don't need to like those things because everyone is just a human in that scenario. But yes, it's crazy fun. Like when you're going to these like crazy events, like when we're in LA, over Grammy weekend, and like you go into the Apple Grammy party, and like you've literally got every single pop star that's won a Grammy in the room, and you're just like, yo, what's up? Going to the same guy that's serving you the little finger food, like, oh, yo, this finger food's good, eh? Yeah, it's cool. I was like, okay, well, this is crazy. So.
I guess it's a credit to you that obviously somebody like Charlie Sloth, who you've built a relationship with over however many years, you've had him up, and he's had you down to One Extra and stuff, and you know he's phoned you up and wanted you and his team.
Yes, it's quite a nice situation to have that, to like, you know, to especially from where I'm from, like London especially is just full of music people that are chasing that dream. Mm-hmm. And like you're like, yo, like you're not from London, but here's everything you need to make this happen. It's crazy, man. I mean, me and Charlie's relationship is quite funny actually. Like our relationship started when we were I was outside One Extra with Kobe, the local artist from Glasgow, and Charlie at that point was a rapper as well. And we were outside One Extra on Radio 1 handing out CDs to DJs coming out. That's how he used to do it. And he was a rapper, and it was pissing rain. There were so many bands that are doing it, because that's what everyone does outside radio, hand DJs music. And I was doing it for Kobe. And then we just started chatting, and that's how the relationship started. And then he ended up being One Extra, Radio 1, Apple, and then we just like, the path just kept crossing.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, that's where we're at now. So we're working on this whole project together. Yes, there's so many things that are going to come out in the next few months that are like, whoa, this is like some global shit now. So, which is exciting. So,
what's Charlie like as a person? Like, you know, everybody sees what he's like or hears what he's like on the radio. He kind of has a character, you know.
Yeah. I mean, everyone's got their character.
What's the real Charlie Sloth like?
Yeah, I can confirm he doesn't tap bombs when he's talking to you. No, he's just mad. I mean, he doesn't come from anything. So he's a Camden kid that's come from nothing to a situation that what a lot of people idolize in terms of, you know, coming from nothing to where he is now. And he's a name that, like, you can walk into any office in the world pretty much because they recognize him or know him. And he's got some friends that are crazy connects, but not in a way that he rinses them. It's just very, very casual. So as a person, man, he's just like us, man. Just a DJ that loves music, and things have just aligned themselves perfectly for him, and the team he's got behind him is super strong, that kind of just excel in this whole situation. I mean, it is crazy to think, like, you know, like it was to go from One Extra to take the legendary spot of Tim Westwood on Radio 1, which is like no one could ever knock Westwood off the throne, to then Apple Music to have like millions and millions of people listen to you across the world, to like have a YouTube feature, which is like one of the most valuable assets. It's just the richest company in the world, Apple. I mean, it's like, yeah, that is crazy. And like some collabs that we're working on, it's just like, yo, this is insane. Like how one hip hop or like like how I'm working on a project that is like so huge, and it's just like some kid from Edinburgh that's like, do you know what I mean? Like mowing the grass in their crib today and picking up dog shit, and then working on the rest of the day working on some crazy stuff. It's like it's just yes, it's a weird situation, but it's fun, man. It's like, and it's good because I think it lets everyone grow, and we all motivate each other to do like. I'm kind of going back to like the team of like the tipsy guys or whatever. We all kind of motivate each other to do our own thing as well and build it up. Like I think there's just like we're gonna sit back when we're like 60 and be like, yo, like this is fucking crazy what we've done from all different avenues. Because like I know you've obviously had Martin on to like. Do you talk about your other guests as well? Like, you've got like Ewan.
Yeah, hopefully going to speak to a few guys like G2 and Styler.
You know, like this, it's like crazy what we're all just like creating and how it crosses paths, whatever. Yeah, it's just like you should make a movie at the end.
Movie, I know. Quite interesting, eh? But obviously, this is actually giving you more of an opportunity to start DJing again, because obviously we're having the bar and stuff. You were so busy, meetings on Monday mornings, and you're having to duck out early doors and stuff. And actually now we're having this job, which we'd think even bigger. You've actually got time when you come home at the weekends that you can play at Tipsy again, and
all that stuff is like big for me. Plus, it's like, you know, it's like you're the same as me. You get, when you've done a certain list of residencies, like there's certain ones you want to keep, and there's certain ones you want to let the younger generation get, because like why are you hogging onto a student night or whatever? Like let the young cats come through rather than just hogging this like which don't get me wrong, like some people like have residencies forever, but like having that situation of like growing that stuff. So like there's a lot of stuff that I'm working on that are like more brands related, that'll be different gigs like across the world that are like fun. Like I just did a deal on a well, it's meant to happen next. Oh, it's meant to happen today. This is heartbreaking. I'm meant to start my Dubai residency today, which is like a monthly Wednesday. So like, you know, things like that is what I want to do going forward. But I guess that's just kind of the transition. But things happen for a reason, I think. So like, you know, taking a bit of time out, because just like we've talked about this before, you fall in and out of love of DJing every so often, and you just need something to bring you back in.
Yeah.
Now it's just like when you have a job, you're just like, oh, this shit's kind of grinding on me right now, and it's switching it up. Like what you've going on with the podcast, these little interviews, all that stuff is like, you're obviously going like, we're gonna have a conversation probably in a few months' time. You're gonna be like, oh, remember when I started that? And then it's like, now it's at a certain situation. Do you know what I mean? Like
when I'm interviewing Charlie and I've got like 2 million followers on YouTube.
Yeah, man. I'm telling you, what did I always say to you? You should be doing like this type of stuff, interviews, talking about like, I know obviously I was going about you being a football hooligan, but like it's football related. But I think this is your wave, man. 100%. It's like chatting about things, dissecting things, because like we never talk this side of stuff. And I think this time around, this whole Corona thing has made you realize that like we're all just humans.
Yeah.
It's like, I had a conversation with someone the other day about this. Is like, we're all the same. Like when we have conversations with some of the team, some of them live in like huge mansions and they still have the screaming kids or the dog barking when the postman comes. Like everyone's the same.
Yeah.
Like this whole like just talking about stuff is actually really beneficial and interesting, because it's like gives you an opportunity to realize that like anyone can do. Like I know what I can do, what Charlie does. You know that you can do what someone I like want to work with. Do you know what I mean? Like that.
Yeah.
Business, there's something like this. There must be an interview that you look up and like, yo, I can do. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
And we're all in the same situation in this Corona lockdown.
Sweet, man. Lastly, is there any advice that you would give to any young DJs that are maybe coming through, or you're like the thing in networking, and everybody always
networking's the biggest thing.
Yeah.
No network. Support each other as well. Like, don't be in a situation like I listen to this guy's mix. Like, yo, give him that extra play. If you're especially now, like everything I get tagged in that like video or something, watch the whole thing. Like, give that person, if you ain't doing shit, like watch something, learn something. I definitely think that is probably the biggest advice. And I guess the other one is like, just don't be scared to do something. Whether that's like hitting up someone and getting a no, that's the worst you can get, or not trying something because you're going to end up like regretting it. So you're better off just doing it. And then also the whole world is like, that's one thing I've learned is like the whole world is there, not just like your city.
Yeah.
What your friend circle or your city might think of your project, like the world is totally different. I mean, it's like much bigger picture. So what other advice? And follow Kris Murdygram on TikTok. That has been the best thing of my quarantine.
Yeah, okay.
You think I'm taking the piss?
Yeah, you fucking voice note me all the time, just saying.
No, I do
You take the sound off my TikToks and
exactly.
lip sync.
That's one more. Yeah, but then look, you're like what's the highest views you've got on one of them? Not that numbers matter, but it's entertaining.
I don't know, 80,000 views or something.
There you go.
Just a laugh, eh?
Well, let's compare mine. What I've got on. Hold on, let me load this. How bad? So I put.
It the other day.
I did one tick. Yeah, so 185 views on mine. You've got 80,000. So that's
anyway, it's been a pleasure to speak to you, mate, and find out your story. I'm sure a lot of people will enjoy
about TikTok.
What?
You hate me talking about your TikTok.
But wait, before we go, we better address the text message that you got for you and Lawrence.
Oh, yes. So you have a conversation with Ian. Ewan, is he going to be before me or after me?
Oh, after, mate. We need to get yours up before this. Come on.
Now I feel bad. So, firstly, I have to, because Ewan wants to record a bit of the thing. So, Murdy, basically, Ewan, I would say, is the best DJ, best wedding DJ in the country by far. No one's ever done it like him. But basically, yeah, Ewan phoned me saying, I've just done Murdy's interview. I mentioned you, so like, make sure you mention me. So I guess he can clip this bit of me saying that he's the best wedding DJ in the country. But to be honest with you, he actually is.
Yeah, it's to be fair.
Yes, he's so entertaining. So yeah, shout out to you and shout out to the rest, all the gang, because they're we're all homies for life. Yeah,
shout out all the Tipsy fam. We've not mentioned Fabio Alim, Hopsky, who's left us now, unfortunately.
Yes, the first moment we have in that DJ booth again is going to be like some movie romantic.
You could be spending every day quarantine phoning Mo Dizzle and try to get him back.
Yeah, but the thing is, he never answers the phone.
Yeah, true. Oh well, right.
I should do an episode on Mo Dizzle's mind.
Try and get Mo Dizzle on for an interview with the two of us. That'd be fun.
You would just laugh and go. But yeah, well, I appreciate you. I like this, man. This is. I never talk about myself, but I really appreciate you doing this, man, because it's actually quite fun. It's quite reminiscent.
Yeah.
Just for that.
Nice one, bro. Right, I'll speak to you soon, mate. Thanks a lot.
Good luck, Murdy. Bye-bye.
Bro. See you later.